You know, over here in the very heart of London recently, we've had yet another wonderful state royal visit, the Emperor and Empress of Japan. They've been staying in the absolute luxury that is Claridge's. I mean, can you imagine just being able to stay there, even just have a drink in there is a bit of a privilege, isn't it, you know? But to have so many nights staying there, and a lot of people were asking as well online, were asking me, why were they not staying in a royal palace? It was their choice, actually. I mean, you know, I don't know whether they've stayed there before, but when they have these state visits, they are, you know, offered accommodation within inside royal palaces, but apparently they wanted to stay there. Personally, I don't blame them. They've just had a refurb. Looks absolutely delightful. Yes, you know the sort of place you stand outside and dream about, you know, sort of think I wouldn't mind popping in there. But now the state visitors sort of come and concluded, been very successful for His Majesty the King and Queen Camilla. But now there's a political row erupted, and I just wanted to clear this up so you understand exactly where we're at with it. As ever, let me explain. Hi, lovely to see you. Thank you so much. We'll have a quick wave. Look at, but you know, it's just dreadful, isn't it? The wind is everywhere today. Absolutely. Yes, but it's nice, you know, it's cooling me down, so it's not bad, is it? Nice to have your company, whatever you're doing. By the way, I didn't realise this, that on this day, over 70 years ago, apparently there was the very first Scrabble Championship. Are you any good at Scrabble? I don't mind a game of it if you've got the time, but it's very time consuming, isn't it? Once you get going, and are you good at words? I'm not bad, but yeah, you know, I know. It's all games though, is it? Tell me, do you play Scrabble still, or is that one of those games that's consigned now to the history books? It's a bit like Monopoly, isn't it? I still love a game of Monopoly, but you have to sideline at least a year, don't you, when you start the game? Goes on forever, doesn't it? Back as ever to your royal news of the day. Now, interesting this because, as we know, there was a massive state banquet at Buckingham Palace, which was absolutely stunning. I love seeing the way they set those things up. I've been lucky enough to be invited into the press call, and the detail, you know, forget the menu and everything. It's just the real sort of pomp and pageantry that goes with these things. I think that's why people love coming to London and meeting the British monarchy. It really is a spectacle, a major event. Now, at that event was none other than the current British Prime Minister, the Right Honourable Rishi Sunak, still in number 10. Or will he be, you know, in a week's time or whatever? Now, there was a lot of hoo-ha and to-do made over the fact that he was not sat next to His Majesty the King, because normally on a state visit like that, that's where the British Prime Minister would be. Oh, yes.
Yes.
Nice to meet you.
you.
All right.
Nice to meet you.
It's all right, love. I'm just, you know, when you forget the story, you think, what was that? It's all right. No, it's fine. Thank you. Thanks so much. These big events, you know, as well as, of course, of His Majesty the Queen, Queen Camilla, and of course His Majesty King Charles III, it's all about the seating arrangements, who's with who, all that sort of stuff, you know. I like that, and you kind of think, oh, okay, who's in and who's out. Now, what's interesting is the current British Prime Minister, the Right Honourable Rishi Sunak, would normally have been at the side, literally sitting alongside King Charles's top aide. And when you think about it, you could understand there he is, the most powerful man in the country. A lot of people are making a lot about this though. The person sitting next to him was none other than the Labour leader, Sir Keir Starmer. Clive Anderton is of course a top aide to His Majesty the King, and apparently this was seen as a major snub to Prime Minister Sunak. But was it really? And well, apparently Prime Minister Sunak said that was fine. A lot of people are reading into the fact that is, of course, Sir Clive Anderton really just cozying up to potentially the next British Prime Minister. The official story goes is this, that actually because Sir Keir Starmer had never been to a big event like that, they were sort of saying, well, this is how it operates, this is what could happen. And by sitting next to Clive Anderton, well, the bottom line was apparently he was guiding him through it. Now, whether you believe that story or not, that's entirely up to you. What's fascinating is the fact that obviously, if you think about it, it looks bad form, simply because Rishi Sunak still is our British Prime Minister. And as we know what goes around in court circles and palace courtiers, things are moving very quickly. But as we also pointed out recently here on this show, Sir Keir Starmer was not a fan of the monarchy until he became Sir Keir, along with his wife, Lady Victoria. So perhaps he was just getting some, well, shall we say, much needed sage advice if and when he ever does become the next British Prime Minister. Either way, this has created something of a political hot potato. But what do you think? Neil Sean in the very heart of London.